Hello, I'm James Ezimoha. Welcome to Africa News, where we bring you the latest updates from across the African continent. Let's see your headlines. South Africa's lesser flamingos to abandon one of their last breeding grounds due to toxic sewage. Military leaders from across Africa gathered in Lagos for a high-level Air Force forum. Libyans protest in Tripoli demand resignation of interim Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Bebe. Thank you for joining us. A toxic sewage spill has forced South Africa's lesser flamingos to abandon one of their last breeding grounds. Kamfers Dam near Kimberley has seen a total collapse in flamingo numbers after years of pollution. The environmental fallout now threatens both biodiversity and local livelihoods.
Kamfers Dam in South Africa was once home to almost 50,000 lesser flamingos, one of only 4 African sites where the birds gathered to breed. But years of untreated sewage discharge have made the dam's water too toxic, prompting the flamingos to vanish. The International Union for Conservation of Nature says the species is now under growing threat, with the loss of Kamfers Dam worsening an already steep population decline. Conservationists warn the birds will not return unless the water quality is restored.
The big problem for the species is they will not be able to breathe at Kamfers Dam until the levels of the water returns to normal conditions for them to breed. So we will be continuing to miss out on breeding seasons that deliver between 2,000 and 5,000 chicks in a breeding season until that can be sorted out.
We are quite concerned. We know that flamingos attract tourists to Kimberley, and that one way of improving the economy and the jobs. So that is why this matter is urgent for us, very urgent in fact. So because it has a ripple effect on the economy of this city, and it's something that we have to deal with. But also, not only about the economy, it's also about the environment itself.
Essentially, their habitats are degrading. It's one of the biggest threats to the lesser flamingo. And the most important in this case is actually Kamfers Dam, which is the critical breeding site for the flamingos in the region. So because we've lost this breeding site, the numbers of the recruitment of flamingos is now declining in the region.
Globally, water ecosystems are fast deteriorating because of sewage. A 2021 study in biological conservation found it threatens aquatic ecosystems across a vast area of the planet.
Kenya has launched a major relocation of critically endangered black rhinos. The animals are being moved from overcrowded sanctuaries to a new site. Officials say the goal is to reduce rhino deaths and support long-term population growth.
Kenya Wildlife Service has begun relocating 21 black rhinos to Segera Conservancy in Laikipia. The animals are being moved from Olpejeta, Lewa, and Nakuru sanctuaries, all of which have exceeded their holding capacity. Territorial fights among rhinos, driven by overpopulation, are responsible for over 30% of recorded deaths, according to reports. Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife says the relocation is a vital step to ease pressure on packed reserves.
By moving rhinos from Olpejeta, Lewa, and Nakuru, all sanctuaries currently operating at over 100% of their carrying capacity, we are reducing deadly territorial fights that account for over 30% of rhino mortalities.
Wildlife vets say the operation is guided by strict timing and procedures to ensure safe transfer and quick recovery.
We are planning to undertake 21 rhinos over the next 18 days. And we have protocols and guidelines that guides us on how and when to do this. So we usually target either just before the rains or after the rains when there's enough there's enough forage and also enough water on the grounds for the animals to be able to settle down well and within a very short time.
The head of Kenya Wildlife Service says the country's rhino numbers have grown, but expansion depends on finding more space.
Right now we have about 1,057 black rhinos, and we have 1,080 white rhinos, and that is a huge success that we have experienced. Right now, and what we've been doing is we have 18 rhino sanctuaries, and because of our success, we have to keep on moving them into new sanctuaries so that we can sustain the growth.
Kenya's Black Rhino Recovery Plan aims to double the population to 2,000 by 2037. Conservationists say continued success depends on balancing population growth with habitat expansion.
Military leaders from across Africa gathered in Lagos for a high-level Air Force forum. The event comes amid growing insecurity and pressure on countries to improve defense coordination. Nigeria played host as regional air chiefs explored new ways to tackle terrorism and cross-border threats.
Africa's top Air Force commanders met in Lagos for the 4th African Air Forces Forum. The gathering included military chiefs from Burkina Faso, Rwanda, Tunisia and others, focused on boosting regional air power. It comes as countries across the continent face escalating militant violence, with Nigeria among the hardest hit. Leaders say strengthening aerial defence and joint military strategies are key to confronting both domestic and regional threats.
Indeed, this is a day to feel proud as Africans for this accomplishment. It also represents a time that we as leaders in the aviation sector should begin to envisage Africa play a crucial role in the advancement of air power globally. There is no doubt that this event generated much interest across the continent through the media and the efforts of our international partners. It is expected that this will be replicated in subsequent forums. What remains now is for us to return to our various countries with the zeal and commitment to implement solutions we have all agreed upon.
African problems really requires African solution. And this is the first time in the continent that the chief of air staffs, all the countries in Africa and beyond, will come together to begin to see how to cross-fertilize ideas, how to build synergy, to be able to face the emerging threats, not only trans-border crimes, but other terrorist challenges in the continent.
The forum ended with calls for better joint operations, training and intelligence sharing. As insecurity spreads, leaders say unified air power may be Africa's best defence.
Libyans took to the streets in Tripoli once again, calling for the resignation of interim Prime Minister Abdulrahman Dbeibeh. The demonstrators say they are frustrated by repeated delays to national elections. Libya has seen little political stability since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011.
In Tripoli's Martyrs Square, crowds gathered for a second week of protests demanding the immediate removal of Prime Minister Abdulhamid Dbeibeh. He was appointed in 2021 through a UN-led process to oversee elections, but the vote was postponed due to deep divisions among Libya's rival factions and never rescheduled. Protesters accuse the government of overstaying its mandate and failing to deliver the promised democratic transition.
The government came to power for the purpose of holding elections for a year, according to the Geneva Agreement, but it was extended for 5 years and began to divide the Libyan wealth between the East and the West, and is working to remain for a longer period. Rather, it has made the blood of the Libyans permissible and has disregarded their demands. We are now in a peaceful stand demanding the overthrow of this government and to have elections. We do not want successive transitional periods. We are tired of transitional periods. We want to go to elections. We want a civil state. We want to be like other countries.
We are coming here for the second week in a row to bring down the government and the people that are oppressing the country. And God willing, today is the day of the downfall. And today, God willing, we demand that the Parliament and the Presidential Council bring down the government.
Libya remains politically fractured between Eastern and Western administrations, with no agreement on when or how to hold national elections. As frustration mounts, demands for civilian rule and an end to transitional governments are gaining momentum on the streets.
More than 260 miners were trapped underground after an accident at a gold mine west of Johannesburg. Rescue efforts are underway, with nearly 80 miners already brought to the surface. According to mine operator, families and union leaders have expressed concern for the safety of those still underground.
A damaged hoist system at the Kloof gold mine in South Africa left hundreds of workers stranded underground on Thursday. The mine, run by Sibanye Stillwater, is one of the deepest in the country. The National Union of Mine Workers says a mechanical failure severed lift cables, halting access to the shaft and delaying rescues. Outside the site, relatives gathered anxiously, many fearing the worst as they awaited news from below.
I have not slept a wink. I have not slept, ma'am. I haven't slept. Do you hear what I'm saying? I have not slept. But the manager here, anybody from here, must bring my husband back alive. That's what I'm saying. I want him alive. South Africa has no jobs, and our men go to these jobs only to be treated like rubbish. Our men die in these mines.
Union leaders criticised the delay in information and said they only learned the full extent of the damage hours after the incident.
They were trying to take up some materials up the shaft, and unfortunately it fell down, it cut the cables, it cut a number of walkways or travelways for the shaft to come up. So by virtue of that, but management didn't come to us as organized labor and tell us what was happening. We only found out the whole story because we didn't know the whole story. We knew the whole story around 2 o'clock as the National Union of Mine Workers.
The company says it is working to repair the damaged shaft and bring all miners safely to the surface. The incident has reignited scrutiny over mine safety standards in one of the world's most hazardous mining industries.
That's all we have today on Africa News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.